Stop everything, silence your phone, still your breath, and prepare yourself for the kind of revelation that claws at the human soul, because what you're about to encounter is not just another Hollywood tragedy neatly wrapped in gossip headlines and softened by filtered tributes. No, this is an earthquake of betrayal, silence, secrets, and suspicion. A story so sharp it cuts through nostalgia itself, tearing apart decades of carefully maintained legacies and leaving behind only the echo of questions no one dares answer. A story that began on July 20th, 2025, in Costa Rica, when the golden light of a setting sun bled across the shoreline, waves shimmered with flecks of fire, music pulsed faintly from beach bars, and laughter rolled freely from tourists who believed they had stepped into paradise, but within minutes paradise turned into purgatory. For that was the day Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the man millions grew up calling brother, the face who helped define the innocence of primetime family television, the untouchable icon who had survived scandals that toppled others, was swallowed by the ocean itself, dragged beneath merciless currents as friends screamed, tourists froze in horror, and chaos erupted. Yet despite the bodies flailing into the surf, despite desperate arms reaching into foam, not a single hand was strong enough to save him, and in that instant the world lost not just a father, an actor, a musician, but the fragile illusion that some figures stand immune to fate. The news hit the wires within hours. Tweets turned to floods of tributes. Right Malcolm blazed across every platform. Old clips from The Cosby Show resurfaced in viral montages. Co-stars released statements. Athletes and singers typed grief-laden posts, and the collective mourning rolled like thunder across continents. Yet one silence thundered louder than the rest. One absence drowned every tribute. The silence of Keshia Knight Pulliam, Malcolm's on-screen sister, his alleged real-life confidant, the woman fans believed knew him better than anyone alive. A silence that stretched not for hours, not for days, but for 7 long, unbearable days. An absence so profound it turned grief into speculation, speculation into rumor, rumor into fire, because the internet began to ask in unison, was her silence the weight of grief or the mask of guilt? Was she broken? Or was she hiding? And when at last, on the 7th day, she broke that silence, her words cracked the earth instead of healing it, for she did not offer clarity, did not explain, did not weep in public. No, she uploaded a carefully edited Instagram video beginning with clips of Malcolm's laughter on stage, cutting suddenly to footage of 2 little girls, his daughters, running through a sunlit garden, ending on a stark black-on-white frame that read simply, "A week ago, I lost my brother, but I gained an angel." We've taken care of our girls. And then nothing. No reference to his drowning, no explanation for her delay, no gratitude for the prayers, only that chilling phrase, "our girls," a phrase that detonated online like a bomb. Because what did it mean? What arrangement had bound her to his children? Why did she claim them as her own? And why now, at 46, was she invoking the language of shared guardianship when rumors had whispered for decades of a bond between Malcolm and Keshia that may have transcended siblinghood, maybe even transcended friendship, whispers of blurred lines and secrets too fragile to touch, and so blogs speculated about hidden affairs, tabloids screamed of secret paternity, fans flooded her comments with both love and fury, demanding answers she would not give, and then, like gasoline on fire, a grainy video surfaced of the two, weeks before Malcolm's fateful trip, captured in Los Angeles, arguing violently on a street corner, his face twisted, his voice sharp as he shouted, "Tell the truth before it's too late. If you don't, it all ends here," before the footage cut out, leaving the internet to wonder what truth, what ending, what promise had been broken, and suddenly his drowning no longer looked like nature's cruelty, but like the climax of a story being buried alive, insiders leaking whispers of financial disputes, secret children, paternity tests, even claims Malcolm had been preparing to expose something about the Cosby Show legacy that could obliterate reputations and implicate powerful names, whispers that turned darker when celebrities began posting cryptic messages, Angela Bassett tweeting, "Some stories should have been told. Some truths shouldn't have been buried," Viola Davis echoing with, "We carry secrets that crush our souls." Beyoncé posting a lone black heart beside his name, and fans convinced themselves these were coded warnings that Hollywood itself was trembling under the weight of what Malcolm had nearly revealed. And then came the leak that made everything combust. A Costa Rican police memo, stamped and dated, with 3 words underlined. The story did not end with the drowning. It did not end with Keshia's silence. It did not even end with leaked letters and haunting audio clips whispered in the dark. No, this story metastasized. It mutated into something bigger than grief, bigger than betrayal, a virus that infected Hollywood, the courts, the internet, and every family who had once sat together on couches watching reruns of The Cosby Show and believing in the innocence of laughter. Because what unfolded after Malcolm-Jamal Warner's final breath was not closure, but eruption, an uncontainable firestorm of secrets, lawsuits, leaks, whispers, and haunting footage that turned his death into the largest Hollywood scandal of the decade, maybe of the century, and as August bled into September, Los Angeles County Superior Court became ground zero for a battle that was less about custody and more about truth, as Malcolm's extended family. Blood siblings, estranged cousins, even distant relatives who had not spoken to him in years, filed petitions demanding guardianship of his 2 young daughters, children already traumatized by the loss of their father, but now dragged into a custody war that read like a conspiracy trial. Because in the very first filing, they accused Keshia Knight Pulliam by name of withholding information critical to the welfare of the minors. A phrase so vague, yet so damning it lit the internet on fire again. For what information could possibly be so devastating that it endangered the welfare of children? What could she be hiding that a judge needed to weigh before deciding who should raise Malcolm's daughters? And as the first hearings began, reporters swarmed the courthouse, cameras flashing, microphones shoved forward, commentators describing the air inside as suffocating, every sigh amplified, every word weighed like dynamite. And then Malcolm's sister broke down on the stand, sobbing through her testimony that Malcolm had confided in her, whispering only weeks before his death that if anything happened, Keshia will know why. And in that instant, the proceedings tilted from custody battle to mystery trial, because the implication was clear. His death was no accident, and the keeper of the truth sat in the room refusing to speak. And as if the weight were not already unbearable, an anonymous source leaked what they claimed was an FBI case file, linking Malcolm's name to sealed investigations of financial corruption, predatory behavior covered up during the Cosby scandals, even possible connections to powerful producers still active in Hollywood. And buried in those documents, one chilling notation surfaced. Confidant, K. Knight Pulliam, cementing her role not as grieving friend, but as the single vault holding truths law enforcement wanted unlocked, and the internet exploded with fury, half demanding she testify, half defending her silence, but all convinced she was the hinge on which the entire scandal swung. And then inside the courtroom, Malcolm's attorney presented the sealed letter Malcolm had written to his daughters, never intended for public eyes, but now part of the case record. A letter that read, "If I cannot protect you in this world, know that I tried. The people you think are closest may not be who they appear. Trust Keshia. She will know when the time is right to tell you the truth." Words that shattered the courtroom, left journalists racing to tweet updates, fans crying in disbelief, critics hissing that this was the ultimate confirmation. Malcolm himself knew he was in danger, knew Keshia held the key and placed everything, even his daughter's futures, in her trembling hands. And as protesters gathered outside chanting, "Justice for Malcolm" and "Keshia tell the truth," social media fractured further. Hashtags, "Expose," "The letter," "Trust Keshia." What is she hiding trending simultaneously, creating a battlefield of competing narratives. And then came the leak no one expected. Not a video this time, not a text, but audio. Raw, unpolished, terrifying, allegedly recorded in the weeks before Malcolm's death, his voice trembling with desperation. "If you don't tell them, they'll think I was weak. Please, Keshia, don't let them bury me with their lies." Followed by her voice, calm but firm, "Malcolm, if I speak, none of us will survive this." And that audio, once viral, erased all illusions of an accident, because now the world believed in unison. Malcolm knew he was being silenced. Keshia knew the truth, and her silence was both his protection and his betrayal. And as weeks dragged on, she vanished from public life, hiding from cameras, cancelling appearances. But whispers persisted that she was preparing something. A final statement, a confession, maybe even the release of a documentary Malcolm had allegedly begun filming in secret, titled Behind the Curtain. A project insiders swore contained interviews, hidden footage, names, receipts, everything. A project so dangerous it may have cost him his life. And as blogs hunted for any